The moment I opened my safe and found it empty, I knew the woman who smiled in my kitchen every morning was my worst enemy. I wasn't just a grieving widow. I was about to become her nightmare. Tap follow for part 2 and don't blink, because every detail matters. My name is Margaret Maggie Thompson, and at 72, I thought my battles were behind me. I'd buried the love of my life, raised 4 kids, and built a quiet, elegant life in the old house Ernest and I had filled with laughter. That house held my memories like a treasure chest, but I had no idea it would become the battlefield of my final war. It started with the safe. 3 turns right, 2 left, 1 right. The code I'd used for 3 decades. Click. The sound echoed in the quiet closet, but when I opened the door, my breath caught. Empty. The emerald earrings Ernest gave me on my 20th birthday, gone. My mother's pearls, the gold bangles from my children's births. My granddaughter's diamond ring, 30 years of love, wiped away. Behind me, a soft voice, "Looking for something, mother-in-law?" I turned. Vanessa stood in the doorway, leaning casually with that practiced half-smile that never reached her eyes. "My jewels, they're not here." She folded her arms. "Oh, right, the jewelry. We donated everything. You don't need it anymore." Donated. My fingers shook against the cold metal of the safe. "They were mine," I whispered. "They're just things," she replied smoothly. "At your age, why cling to stuff? You don't go anywhere. You should be grateful we're simplifying your life." I took 2 slow breaths. "You're right, Vanessa," I said calmly. Her smug smile widened. "I don't need those jewels anymore. But you're going to need a lawyer." Her face drained of color. And that's when I knew she had underestimated me. 3 years earlier, I'd buried Ernest on a rainy March morning. 42 years of marriage, gone in a heartbeat. The house grew quiet, heavy. My children visited, but only Robert, my youngest, stayed close. 6 months after the funeral, he arrived with a bouquet and a woman at his side. "Mom, this is Vanessa." She was beautiful, dark hair, bright smile, sunflower bouquet. She offered comfort when I was weakest, cooking with me, walking to the market, pretending to be family. When Robert proposed, I was overjoyed. When they asked to move in, just until they saved up for their own place, I said yes without a second thought. At first it was warm. Vanessa cooked Sunday dinners, Robert grilled like his father used to. But the poison came slowly, redecorating my living room, renovating my kitchen, criticizing my clothes, isolating me from friends. Then, one afternoon, "You shouldn't have to deal with bills anymore." "Let me handle everything," Vanessa said sweetly, sliding papers toward me. I signed. Just like that, I handed her my financial life. Piece by piece, she took over. My friends heard she told them I was forgetful and fragile. I stopped going out because she said my morning routine was too noisy. I became a stranger in my own home. The worst was my granddaughter's birthday. Every year, I bought Sarah something special. That day, my wallet was empty. My debit card? Missing. "Vanessa, have you seen my card?" "I have it. Remember, I manage the expenses now." "We already got her something from the family. You don't need to spoil her." For the first time in 12 years, I arrived empty-handed. The disappointment on Sarah's face crushed me. By the time I realized the depth of her control, it was almost too late. Robert was distant, exhausted, echoing Vanessa's words when I tried to speak up. "Mom, Valerie's right. Don't worry about these things anymore," my other kids called, concerned. "Mom, she's controlling you." "Can't you see?" Lauren warned. I defended Vanessa. I didn't want to admit the truth. Then came the birthday. September 23rd, my first birthday without Ernest. No flowers. No calls in the morning, just Vanessa scrolling through her phone. Later, I overheard her planning a party. My heart soared. Maybe a surprise? Foolish me. At 7 p.m., her friends arrived, loud, laughing, drinking wine I'd bought. She asked me to stay in my room so I wouldn't bother them, but I didn't. I sat quietly in a corner, wearing the blue dress Ernest loved, invisible among strangers. Then I heard it. In the kitchen, Vanessa whispered to two friends, "Why move out? This house will be ours soon." She already signed papers without reading. Robert's got power of attorney. It's just a matter of time before she's in a home. We'll sell this place for $800,000. Easy. Laughter. Clinking glasses. And then? Robert walked in. She whispered to him, pointing at me. And he nodded. My own son. Something inside me broke cleanly. Upstairs, alone, I finally cried. Not the quiet widow's tears from months earlier. These were different. Sharp. Hot. Furious. Staring at my reflection, I saw the woman who had raised 4 children, built a home, survived loss. And I whispered, no more. That night, I called Patrick Malone, Ernest's law partner and Robert's godfather. Patrick, it's Maggie. I need help. I'm being robbed. Don't say another word on the phone, he replied. My office. Tomorrow. 10 a.m. The next day, I told Vanessa I had a doctor's appointment. She didn't even glance up from her phone. Patrick listened as I spilled everything. The jewelry, the money, the humiliation. His jaw tightened as he flipped through my statements. Maggie, this is elder financial abuse. It's fraud. But we'll handle it. Give me a week. That week, I smiled through Vanessa's orders and insults. I cooked when she demanded, stayed quiet when she criticized. She thought she'd broken me. In reality, I was setting a trap. 7 days later, Patrick opened a folder thick with evidence. Your jewelry wasn't donated, he said. Pawned. Under Vanessa Carter's name, $35,000. He slid more papers forward. Bank statements. Transfers. Purchases. She's taken $89,000. I gripped the chair until my knuckles whitened. Patrick leaned forward. We can get it back. But you must let her dig her own grave first. Don't confront her yet. Open a new account. Transfer what's left. Gather proof. And I did. Every night, my phone recorded her conversations. Once I get Robert to sign over power of attorney, we can do whatever we want, she bragged to a friend. She's practically senile, she said one night. Every word was a blade, but it was also ammunition. By the end of that week, I wasn't the broken widow anymore. I was a storm waiting to break. Patrick, I said over the phone one night, it's time to bring my children home. And so, the pieces began to move. The plan started with a simple lie. Why are all your kids coming? Vanessa asked one evening, narrowing her eyes. I smiled, stirring my tea with deliberate calm. Because I miss my family. Is that a problem? For the first time, a flicker of nervousness crossed her face. Lauren arrived first. The moment she stepped into the house and saw me, her jaw clenched. Mom, you've lost weight. Are you eating? You look tired. She hugged me tightly, and I almost broke right there. But I held it together. Vanessa watched from the stairs, pretending to scroll on her phone. That night, once the house was quiet, Lauren slipped into my room. Okay, Mom. What's going on? And I told her everything. Every humiliation. Every dollar. Every recording. I watched her face transform from disbelief to fury. That witch, she spat. Mom, why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I was scared. Scared of being alone. Scared no one would believe me. She took my hands. You are never alone again. I swear, Mom, she's going to regret ever underestimating you. By Saturday, Charles and Patricia arrived too. The house came alive with voices and the smell of roast beef simmering in the oven. Vanessa fluttered through the kitchen like a restless bird, popping in every few minutes with fake smiles, listening, watching. She could sense something was off, but couldn't place it. That afternoon, I gathered my 3 eldest in the backyard, away from her prying eyes. I need you to listen carefully, I said. And I laid it all out again. The pawned jewelry, the stolen money, the recordings, the plan to put me in a home. Charles's fists clenched so tight his knuckles popped. That woman, he muttered. And Robert? Patricia asked quietly. Robert is part of the problem, I said, my voice steady. He's blinded by her. Tears welled in Patricia's eyes. Mom, I'm so sorry we didn't see this sooner. None of you could have, I reassured them. She's clever, but that ends now. I need you as witnesses. When the time comes, you stand with me. No hesitation. You can count on us, Charles said. Lauren nodded fiercely. The final piece was my sister, Eleanor, a notary public with a mind sharper than any blade. When she arrived Sunday, Vanessa greeted her with fake enthusiasm. What a surprise! I didn't know you were coming. Family's in town, Eleanor replied smoothly. I thought I'd pop in. That night, in my room, Eleanor reviewed Patrick's evidence, pawn tickets, statements, audio files, legal deeds. She looked up, eyes blazing. Maggie, this is airtight. Fraud, financial abuse, misappropriation of assets. If you wanted, she'd be looking at prison time. I don't want to destroy her, I said softly. I just want my life back. Then you give her a choice. Restitution or ruin. But you'd better be ready. When you confront her, she'll come at you like a cornered animal. I'm ready, I said. And for the first time, I truly was. The night before the confrontation, I couldn't sleep. I stared at Ernest's photo on my nightstand. Honey, I whispered, tomorrow I take our house back. Morning came bright and crisp. At 7 a.m., Patrick arrived in a tailored gray suit, briefcase in hand. Vanessa opened the door and froze. Who are you? She demanded. Patrick Malone. Attorney at law. I'm here to speak with Mrs. Pedd. Thompson, he replied with surgical coldness. She paled. Attorney? What does she need a lawyer for? That's between my client and me. I came down the stairs in my best blue dress, the one Ernest loved. For the first time in 2 years, Vanessa saw me, not as the meek old woman she'd toyed with, but as the owner of the house. Patrick and I sat in the living room. Vanessa hovered in the kitchen, pretending to make coffee but listening to every word. Mrs. Thompson, Patrick said loudly, flipping through a folder. I've reviewed the updated appraisal. The house is valued at $800,000. Vanessa froze mid-pour. Also, to confirm, you've signed no power of attorney documents, correct? None, I said clearly. Vanessa rushed to the doorway. Mother-in-law, what's going on? Legal matters, I replied. Nothing that concerns you. Patrick politely but firmly dismissed her. She retreated upstairs, but I knew she was eavesdropping from the landing. Once she was gone, Patrick leaned in. Robert gets home at 7, correct? Yes, perfect. Tonight's the night. Before leaving, Patrick deliberately said loud enough for Vanessa to hear, Mrs. Thompson, please come to my office tomorrow to update your will. Her reaction was immediate. She rushed down the stairs, eyes wide. A will? You're changing your will? Routine update, I said lightly. The rest of the day was thick with tension. Vanessa shadowed me like a hawk. By 5 p.m., Lauren, Charles, Patricia, and Eleanor had all dropped by casually. She was practically vibrating with paranoia. At 7 p.m., Robert came home, loosened his tie, and immediately sensed the strange energy. What's going on? Why is everyone here? Sit down, son, I said. We're having a family talk. Vanessa rushed to his side like a shield. Robert, your mother had a lawyer here today. She's planning something. I'm protecting myself, I said simply. From people who want to steal from me. Silence. A flicker of doubt crossed Robert's face. Vanessa laughed nervously. Mother-in-law, what are you talking about? No one's stealing anything. I took out my phone, pressed play. Once I get Robert to sign over power of attorney, we can do whatever we want. Vanessa's recorded voice filled the room. Robert's face went white. What is that? He whispered. That's your wife, I said, on my birthday, planning my removal. I pressed play again. Her voice continued. She's practically senile. We'll put her in a home and sell the house. $800,000, easy. That's not true, Vanessa screamed. She edited it. It's fake. Lauren stood. Stop lying. Eleanor stepped forward, laying pawnshop photos on the table. My emerald earrings, pearls, bracelets, diamond ring, all tagged and priced. "The jewelry you donated," she said. Vanessa's face drained of all color. Charles threw bank statements onto the table. Yellow highlights glowed like neon warnings, 89,000 in unauthorized withdrawals and transfers. Robert picked them up with shaking hands. "Vanessa, what is this? We needed the money for us, for the future," she stammered. "For the future?" Robert shouted. "We live in my mother's house rent-free." "What future?" Patricia's voice was cold. "It was never yours." "You stole it." Vanessa turned to me, crocodile tears welling. "Mother-in-law, please." "I was only trying to help manage things." I stood, my voice cut through the room like a blade. "Does help mean pawning my jewelry? Planning to lock me away?" "Calling me senile?" Robert exploded. "I heard you." "That night in the kitchen." And I said nothing. His voice broke as tears streamed down. He knelt before me, shaking. "Mom, forgive me. I was weak. I let her humiliate you. I let her steal from you. I even nodded along when she talked about the nursing home. I don't deserve your forgiveness." I looked at my son, my baby boy who had lost his way. "Robert, if you want to make this right, there's only one way." I turned to Vanessa. "Either you return every cent you stole, sign legal documents relinquishing all claims to my estate, and move out." Eleanor placed a legal folder on the table. "Or face charges for aggravated family fraud." "That's 3 to 12 years in prison." Vanessa's lip trembled. "You can't do this to me." Lauren's voice was ice. "You did it to yourself. I didn't steal. There is no families here," I snapped. "You are a thief." Vanessa turned desperately to Robert. "Tell them it's not true. Tell them." Robert stepped back, disgusted. "Get out," he said. "What?" "Get out of this house." For the first time, Vanessa realized she had no allies left. Eleanor slid the documents toward her. "Sign, or we call the police right now." Her hands shook as she signed everything. Repayment of $89,000 within 60 days, renunciation of all property claims, agreement to vacate within 15 days. She slammed the pen down. "Happy now?" "No," I said softly. "But I'm free." An hour later, she came downstairs with 2 suitcases. She paused at the door. "You'll regret this, old woman." "No, Vanessa," I replied. "You will." She left. And I closed the door behind her, this time for good. But the war wasn't over. I still needed to reclaim what was mine and make sure she never touched it again. The house felt different after Vanessa left. Quiet. But not the heavy, suffocating quiet of the past 2 years. This was peaceful, as if the walls themselves exhaled relief. Robert sat on the couch for hours that night. He didn't speak, didn't cry, just stared into nothing. My other children stayed over. Lauren slept in her old room, Charles and Patricia in the guest rooms. For the first time in years, I slept through the night without waking in fear. The next morning, Robert knocked on my bedroom door. His eyes were swollen from crying. "Mom, I don't have the words to ask for your forgiveness," he said quietly. He sat at the foot of my bed like he used to as a boy. "I was a coward," he whispered. "Dad would be ashamed of me." I let her tear this family apart. I placed a hand on his shoulder. "Robert, Valerie was manipulative. She played on your guilt. But in the end, you made the right choice. You threw her out. You stood with me. That matters." He looked up at me with tear-streaked cheeks. "Can you forgive me?" I saw not a grown man but my little boy, the one who'd picked daisies for me from the yard, who cried in my arms the day we buried Ernest. "I already have, son. But now you need to forgive yourself." Robert hugged me like a child. And for the first time in months, I held him without fear. But the battle wasn't over. That afternoon, Patrick called. "Maggie, we need to recover the jewelry." Technically, since she pawned it under her name, she has to get it out. But she won't unless we apply pressure. Robert called Vanessa that evening on speaker. You have 3 days to retrieve the jewelry and return it. If not, Mom presses charges. I don't have the money, she spat. Then find it, or go to jail. 2 days later, a plain brown box arrived. Inside, the emerald earrings, the pearl necklace, the gold bangles, the diamond ring. Each piece wrapped in newspaper, tossed carelessly like trash. But they were back. I held the pearl necklace, the one my mother gave me on my wedding day, and the tears came freely. You got them back, Mom, Lauren whispered, hugging me. Yes, I said, clutching them. I did. Patrick filed the legal claim for the $89,000. Vanessa had signed a repayment agreement, but everyone knew she didn't have that kind of money lying around. She'll have to sell something or work, Patrick said. But if she doesn't pay, she goes to prison. Meanwhile, I rebuilt. New locks. New bank accounts. Full control of my finances. I returned to my book club. Linda hugged me with tears in her eyes. Maggie, we thought we'd lost you. You almost did, I said, smiling, but I found my way back. The conversation that mattered most happened weeks later in the backyard, where Ernest used to grill on Sundays. Robert sat beside me. Mom, I'm divorcing her, he said simply. Are you sure? Yes. I can't stay married to someone who destroyed everything good in our family. I need to rebuild my life. Your father would be proud, I said, and I meant it. The divorce was swift. Vanessa had nothing to claim, no shared property, no money. She was legally bound to repay the debt. Week by week, small payments started arriving. 500, 1,000. Slow but steady, and slowly the house filled with life again. My children visited regularly. My routines returned. I cooked, I went to the market, I attended book club. Robert stayed with me for months, helping around the house, taking care of me not out of obligation, but love. Then, one quiet Tuesday afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. Mrs. Thompson, this is Monica Herrera. I represent Vanessa Carter. She requests a meeting. She has a proposal regarding her debt. Patrick came with me, of course. When we entered the sleek law office, I almost didn't recognize her. She was thin, with dark circles under her eyes. Her hair was unkempt, her clothes wrinkled. For a fleeting second, pity brushed my heart. Almost. Mrs. Thompson, she began, voice trembling. I can't pay you back in 8 years. I inherited an apartment from my grandmother. It's worth $90,000. I want to transfer it to you in full repayment. Patrick examined the documents. Everything was legitimate. Why not just sell it and pay me cash? I asked. She lowered her head. Because I need to close this chapter. I've lost everything. My husband, my friends, my life. I work 12-hour shifts at a call center. I have nothing left. I need you to forgive me so I can move on. Forgiveness doesn't erase what you did, I said. I know, she whispered, crying. But I want to try. Patrick leaned toward me. The apartment's clean. You could fix it up. Robert will need a place eventually. I thought for a moment, then nodded. I'll accept the apartment. But on one condition, you sign a confession. Everything you did. In your own handwriting. No loopholes. Her eyes widened, but she agreed. She wrote every detail, pawning my jewelry, stealing the money, planning to put me in a home. She signed it with shaking hands. The apartment was transferred to me within a week. When Robert saw it, he was stunned. It needed work, peeling paint, old floors, but it had potential. Do you really want this to be mine? He asked. Yes, I said. But you'll fix it with your own hands. This isn't a handout. It's a new beginning. And he did. Every weekend for 3 months, he painted, repaired, rebuilt. My other kids pitched in. By the end, the place was beautiful, modest, bright, full of warmth. It's perfect, Robert said. Then it's yours, I smiled. Life fell into a gentle rhythm. I returned to being Maggie, not a victim, not prey. My jewelry went back into the safe, new combination, known only to me. Months passed. I met Andrea, a teacher Robert started dating. Warm eyes, genuine smile. She respected me without pretense. I told Robert, now she's a good woman. 1 year after the safe was emptied, I celebrated my 69th birthday. Balloons, cake, laughter, all 4 children home. Linda and the book club ladies brought flowers. You look radiant, Linda said. It's because I'm free, I replied. That night, Robert asked, Mom, did you ever forgive her? I thought for a long time. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. It means letting go so I can live in peace. And I had. A 1.5 years later, Vanessa's lawyer called one last time. She's moved to Santa Fe. She's in therapy. She asked me to tell you she's grateful. You taught her that actions have consequences and gave her a chance to change. I hung up the phone and simply accepted. Her path was hers. Mine was mine. I stood by the rosebush Ernest planted 30 years ago, blooming, alive. I cut a single red rose and placed it in a vase. I looked around my house. My house. My legacy. My life. And I knew I hadn't just reclaimed my jewelry or my money. I'd reclaimed myself. I whispered, "Thank you, Ernest, for teaching me to be strong." Then I turned off the lights and slept peacefully, knowing no one would ever steal my dignity again. If this story moved you, tap, share it, and tell me in the comments, what part hit you the hardest? What lesson did you take from Maggie's revenge? Because dignity is the one jewel no one